Hi, Elizabeth. How are you?
Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm good. What are you doing down here at the X Gallery tonight?
Well, I received an invitation,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had some experience with domestic violence.
Really?
And I've worked with a safe place, and I was curious and supportive at the same time.
What do you think of the exhibit?
I think it's excellent. I can't believe it.
It's pretty powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, the images are right on. The commentary is professional, clean, educational. I'm really enjoying it. It's powerful.
Is this a message that needs to get out even here in Nantucket, do you think?
Oh yeah, I think people are still confused about domestic violence.
Mm-hmm. In what way do you think they're confused?
Well, I think they still feel women are participants somehow, or men, vice
Right.
versa, whoever the violent person is.
Right?
I think that the criminal justice system doesn't necessarily address it in a way that's effective, although I think that's changed quite a bit. How they describe the problem, anger issues, control issues, I think they talk a lot about discerning those two things. Yeah, women's denial. It's just, it's a massive, complicated issue. So I think this is a good step, making it public. People talk about it.
Absolutely. Let's talk about women's denial for a second. That's a real intriguing issue, I think, for a lot of people. I know for a lot of men who are trying to understand what women are thinking about in general. But it's easy to look at an abusive situation for anyone and say, why doesn't she just leave? Why doesn't she just get in the car and leave?
Well, I think that most women in this circumstance, they know the offender, if it's a man, as a complicated person. I'm sure that he's got a charming, functional side and an abusive, violating side.
Right.
They probably know both sides. They maybe see how they maybe have contributed to the explosion of a
Right.
circumstance. They care for the person, they want to be forgiving, they want to give somebody a break. It's complicated. And I don't blame any woman for not knowing how to act.
Right.
You know?
Are women, is it possible for women to be complicit in their own abuse? I mean,
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah?
Definitely.
How is that?
Well, until they are educated to know their own value, to know that they have to act individually, that they have the support of the culture, they're going to, I think, go straddle the fence with their situation.
Right.
You know?
Do you think there is cultural support here, for example, in Nantucket?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah?
I think Safe Place is amazing. It's
They
amazing.
do a great job.
They do.
Yeah. Have you been involved with them? I mean, have you worked with them?
I haven't worked with them, but I was in a situation where I had to call the hotline.
Really? Wow. Was that hard? Was that?
It was hard.
Uh-huh.
It was hard. And at first, I didn't even know what I was doing. I acted out of impulse. And then as I went through the process myself, I became incredibly educated.
Wow.
And then one thing that I thought I was instrumental in was my participation in demanding that the men are equally supported.
Right.
I really believe in that. I think the Safe Place, in my experience, was very supportive to me and my family. However, I feel the offenders, the men, are forced out of their homes, could be in jail,
Right.
need the advice of a lawyer, need a counselor, all the things that the women are provided. That the men, who are probably the ones with the largest problem,
Right.
are left abandoned by society, and probably the reason they are offended is because they were originally abandoned by
Right.
society. So they get it twice.
Right. Well, I was going to say
Twice.
that's a very unique perspective. In my experience, I haven't heard a lot of women talk about the support for men involved in the situation too. I mean, you're talking about families, you know.
Yeah, of course, you are a human being who needs intervention. Who needs intervention?
Can it be fixed? You think a situation?
Well, I'll tell you what. For sake of purity, I'm going to just reiterate what a safe place educated me.
Okay.
And that was that they strongly believed that a violent person the rescindency rate, is that the right word, was so high that you could not responsibly ever tell a woman that their offender could be rehabilitated.
Right.
First of all, to give a woman a false hope or a hope with the statistics against them would be suggesting that they put themselves back in the circumstances where they could lose their lives.
Right.
So I think the responsible answer to that question is no. If you've been physically violated, you should never, ever go back to that person again.
Right.
And I think that's what you should tell a person.
Remarkable. Okay. Well, thanks for talking to us. Name is?
Eileen Powers.
Eileen, hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. What are you doing here tonight?
I'm here because Elizabeth invited me,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to be a social worker,
Oh, really?
and I found the whole concept sort of intriguing to me, and I wanted to see what the pictures were all about.
Have you been on the island for long?
No, only since May,
Since May? And where were you a social worker?
in Washington, D.C.,
Washington, D.C.
and in New York,
Terrifying
and in New York City.
urban Washington, D.C. And
Yeah.
having lived in New York, I can tell you that it has its terrifying moments.
I worked in a homeless shelter that was strictly for women.
Front line.
And I was
Front line
and I
work.
was also a job counselor for dually diagnosed individuals.
Wow.
So people who had mental illnesses as well as addictions, substance abuse problems.
Right.
And you don't do that anymore?
No, I don't.
Don't you burn out quick and something
Sadly,
like that?
I've fallen from the profession because it was very difficult to, I don't think I was strong enough for it. You really have to get used to people not getting well. And people just didn't get well. I mean, I'd work with hundreds, like in a year, you'd work with literally hundreds of different people. And the percentage rate of women that actually got well or were able to either escape their domestic abuse problems or substance abuse problems or, overcome their psychological disorders was so low that it really took a toll on you. People just really didn't get better. And then you'd get someone into a program and you'd get them into a transitional housing program or something like that. And what would happen is, a month later, 6 months later, they'd sort of disappeared and you wouldn't hear from them. And then you'd see them maybe like I did on the news in Atlanta being arrested for heroin abuse. It was just...
Well, they get to the point where they just can't fill out the forms anymore. And they just can't show up.
Well, we weren't like that, so it's hard for me to say. I mean, we weren't really, we didn't push paper. I mean, if you needed a place to stay and we had a bed, you were welcome in our shelter. We were very small, it was 28 beds. There are some shelters that, have hundreds, have hundreds of beds. So we were very small and we offered sort of a personalized kind of service. And we would offer you certain programs based on how long you stayed with us.
When you were in D.C., did you consider the philosophical implications of this dichotomy of the seat of the government of the most prosperous?
Oh, absolutely. That's unavoidable. I think anybody who lives in D.C. sees that every day. And I think that it's so obvious in Washington as well. I mean, just coming in on the metro, you see homeless people every day, or you see people who are abused, or you see people who are actively abusing substances, and then you get off and you're at Capitol South, right, on Capitol Hill. So, it's very obvious.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in New York.
New York, in the city?
In Westchester County.
Westchester?
Yonkers.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right over the line.
Yep.
And why did you want to get into social work? Were
It
you
was
a guilty Westchester County liberal?
not exactly. No, I was. I entered the VISTA program. I was a VISTA volunteer. I decided that the Peace Corps wasn't for me after sort of applying and deciding that. When I read questions
Well,
like, when they asked me if I could, well, yeah, no, when they asked me if I could milk a cow, I really had a hard time with that growing up in the city. I don't have a lot of experience with cows, so I decided that maybe Vista was more my speed, and that's how I ended
tell us
up.
what Vista is.
Volunteers in Service to America. It's the domestic half of the volunteer agency.
And most of it's done in urban areas.
Yes. Well, no, that's kind of a misnomer because it's sort of a misconception because Vista is done in a lot of rural areas, especially in the Appalachian Mountains. Is actually where the program started.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
So why did you come to Nantucket?
I was getting to that.
Oh, that's not.
I just don't have a lot of running.
Okay. But you were a social worker. It was very difficult. It was
Yeah.
a difficult job. You said you felt like you just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And now you're here and
Well, actually, what happened was while I was after I decided that it wasn't for me, I became a graphic designer. So I was a graphic designer for several years in Washington.
Oh,
I
really?
lived there for 7 years, and then I came here,
And are
sort
you
of at
doing
the end
that
of
here?
that. Yes,
Where?
I work at the Inquirer Mirror.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
The Inquirer and Mirror.
Yeah.
Is the Inquirer Mirror soon to be the island's only newspaper?
Oh, come now! I work
Huh?
for both publications. I wear 2 hats.
Do ya?
Yes. I work very much for the Beacon and for the INM.
Yeah.
So I don't like those questions because
Okay.
I'm partial.
You love both papers.
I do love both papers.
So
They're-
do those of us that read them.
and I think you
Take note management. We like both papers.
definitely need
Right?
two point of views.
Points of view.
Points of view. Sorry.
All right,
I didn't
well, nice
major in
to talk to you.
English.
Well, it's good to talk to you, and watch yourself on Channel 3.
I will.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
This is the Reverend George Snow.
Yes.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good. You're a past president of the organization.
Yes.
Is that true? Yeah.
Get in here, Claudia. Yes, I am. I've been president and vice president. I've been vice president for 2 years before. Then I was president for 2 years, and now I'm vice president again.
So you're still with the organization?
Yes, I am.
Great.
I'm vice president now under Gloria. Gloria was my vice president. And we trade positions, but
Swapping
it's
jobs.
good. Yeah.
And how did you get
Means a
involved
lot.
with the organization?
I've been interested in domestic violence. I've had intimate dealings with domestic violence in the last 30 years, so it's been something of interest to me for a long, long time. All my life, all my adult life.
Wow.
So very
Even here on
important
the
to
Rock.
me, especially here on the
It
Rock.
can happen here, can it?
It's very bad here.
Yeah. Very
Because
bad.
people don't talk about it.
Right.
It's something we don't talk about. People expect it to happen, and that it's just part of being married and part of being in a relationship. And
It's not though, is it?
it is not at all. It's the
crime,
worst.
isn't it?
It's a crime.
Yeah.
It's an issue of power,
Yes, indeed.
and power is the main topic. Really, it's the main subject for people.
And now just to segue, since we're talking about
Power.
I know that you're running for selectman. this
I am
year.
running for selectman.
Big step, isn't it?
It is. It is. I thought about it seriously for several months before I made a decision.
Right.
But I firmly believe in community service. It's something I've always done as an adult.
Right.
And I have a great interest in what's going on in Nantucket.
What is going on in Nantucket?
There's a lot of building. Things have changed from the old days. I grew up here in the summers. My grandfather was a Nantucketer.
Right.
My father grew up here and went to high school here, and it's changed a great deal, especially in the last 20 years. I see a change in people's attitudes about making a living here.
Right.
I think that more and more people have come from off island to live here.
Definitely.
Because
Now-
they recognize how beautiful it is.
The it's changed thing.
Right.
That's a big thing because I've been here a little over 20 years.
Okay.
You call 20 years a generational change,
Right.
Every generation
Says that.
it's
I think
changed,
that's
don't
true.
they?
I think that's true.
But I agree with you that it's changed too much.
Yeah.
And
Too fast.
Big change.
Big
too
changes
fast.
too fast.
And even though they were saying that 20 years ago when I first got here, oh, it's changed. You should have seen it 20 years
that's right.
ago.
That's true.
What's vital now that needs to be addressed that you're not kidding about?
I think we have to be careful not to get rid of what brings people here in the first place.
Right.
The beauty of the island, the naturalness of the island. Keeping it as a semi-rural village atmosphere, which I think
Is
is
that
what
still
everyone
possible?
wants.
Is it still
I do think it's still possible. I don't think
it's
we've
too far
totally
gone?
lost. I really don't.
Well, you see
I think
the
we can
shuttle
still save
buses
it.
go by.
I think that's the best thing. I think the shuttle buses are one thing that has helped us a great deal, and I think that is going to continue to help us
Right.
as they expand their programs. I think
What
that's
about
going to be
cars?
good.
How do you deal with the cars?
Cars are going to be a difficult situation. I basically don't have the difficulty with cars, except in the summer.
Right.
And when I've learned patience. In the last 3 years, I gave up being annoyed and just got patient and learned back routes. But
Right.
still, I don't know that we can yet find a way to eliminate cars from the island in a suitable way that's going to fit people's needs. I still see the need for automobiles. I think if we could find a way that was tactful or helpful to encourage people not to bring 5 cars over and 4 cars over
do,
for a
don't
family, which they do. That just is not necessary on this
Gordon
island.
had an idea that as the boat's coming over in the middle of the sound, you pick every third person at random and push them overboard on their way here, so that you eliminate a third of the.
That's one way to handle it. I'm not sure that it's going to be exactly popular. I do have one other idea that I'd like. Somebody told me today an idea for recreation that I would like to pass on and see if people couldn't get interested. Peter Boynton was talking to me about a brilliant idea he's had, or somebody else had, that he was sharing with me about the miniature golf course and how the town or Conservation Commission should buy it and use it and put the ice rink out there, the golf course out there, and the playing fields are already out there, and there was something else that we could move out there, get the traffic out of town, and get it in a place where there's already traffic, use shuttles out there, and make that a recreation area.
But isn't the
Sounds like a great idea.
settled already? Aren't they?
They have their property, but I don't see why that couldn't be renegotiated in some way to everybody's satisfaction. I think it at least would be worth exploring. May not be able to happen, but it's always worth exploring options.
Great idea. All right, well, good luck in your race.
Thank you very much.
The best person wins.
Thanks. I enjoy your show a great deal.
Thank you.
It's very much.
I think we're
It's
going
really
to come
fun.
down and have a more in-depth talk with the candidates closer to the
Good.
election.
Okay, fine. Give me a call.
Okay?
Yep. Thank you very much.
Okay.